Earthlings, welcome to another edition of Special Effects for Video and Film 2023 style. This week we got a lot of fun stuff for you. First things first, you're going to want to look at the final project and start thinking about the final project and what you'd want that to look like. We have some examples that you can click on right there, and also some student examples as well. Let's see if that link is working. Yes, there's some student examples that you can look at, and of course the handy dandy rubric which is attached to it. So again, any questions, I'm around 7 days a week. Not 24 hours a day, but pretty close. Actually not close, probably like 8 hours a day or 9. So that's the final project. It's just a 1-minute video, a 1-minute intro like you see on Netflix, Hulu, HBO, all the streaming platforms. So this week we're going to do a few little tidbits. We're going to do basically 3 little exercises, and then you're going to do your own assignment and source your own imagery for that. And we're going to do a little bit of 3D tracking. We're going to stabilize some footage. I'm going to show you a couple different ways of doing that. I'm going to show you how to do a matte painting, which I find very fun because you can really deceive viewers on a very low budget. And let's see, yeah, we'll do some tracking shots, and we'll also learn how to do a little bit of green screen, which is becoming obsolete at some point, but still you'll run into it. I had clients this summer who were asking for green screen, so it still exists. It's inexpensive, and we're not quite there yet with the microdot backgrounds, video backgrounds, and that sort of thing. We will eventually, but we're going to have to hold on a few more years. So first things first, you're going to go to class materials, go into class materials and modules, and we're going for week 4. You're going to go ahead and download that. It's going to look like this zip file here, right? And when you open it, you're going to have 3 kind of little things going on in there. So I'm going to open up After Effects. And the first thing that we're going to start with is Bouncy Ball and Shaky Footage. So you can go ahead and open that up. And we'll wait for After Effects. I don't know if people have tried the beta version of After Effects or Photoshop, but it is mind twisting. Lots of AI stuff, really cool, exciting stuff ahead in the future of special effects. It's very, 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 very cool. Okay, new project, and for this one, super easy. I'm gonna file, import, right click, import, and I have my module 10 files. I have 2 files, import. First things first, we're going to stabilize some shaky footage. I'm going to control click on that. New comp from selection. Ta-da! And I'm going to hit Command K or go up to composition, composition settings. I am going to make the start time code at 0. And everything else looks good. 1920 by 1080. It is at 29.97 frames per second, which is North American standard, which actually I'm part of a Facebook group now who is arguing that it shouldn't be, and that we should stick to a non-drop frame standard or not a fractional standard. It's kind of interesting conversations, and it's funny because it's like one of those things that I really thought I knew my stuff with it. It has to do with the electrical grids. US is on 60 hertz. The other parts of the world are on 50 hertz. So we have to use our cameras accordingly and our outputs accordingly. But anyway, it's long, boring, nerdy stuff. I won't bore you today, but if you're interested, You can read about frames per second sometime. A lot of film is 24 frames a second, right? Okay, enough of that. We got a thing of 20 seconds, and if we scrub through this, you can see it's quite shaky. I shot this years ago on the trusty 5D Mark III, which is a DSL camera. And for this, we're going to go to Window, and you're going to make sure you have this thing called the tracker up, right? And that's going to look like this over here. Window and tracker, and I can extend it like so. You're going to want to make sure that the playhead is over. You can see it's quite shaky. Now, oftentimes when you are in Premiere, generally speaking, you can use the warp stabilizer, and that will give you pretty good results, and it's getting better and better. But at times you may need to adjust things a little bit better than that. You need to go in there and really take control of things. So what you do is you're going to I gotta check my notes. The shape window tracker, blah blah blah. All right, so then we're gonna stabilize motion, right? But we're gonna select this, click stabilize motion, match source, shaky footage, right? And this little thing right here is basically this square in the center. Think of it as the center part is like a hook or an anchor, right? So this area does some really intense scanning, and the outer one does more of a generalized scan, right? And basically we're going to want to find something that is high contrast, that isn't in front of the subject that's moving and that sort of thing. So I can see back there that little yellow thing. So I'm gonna grab in the middle, not by the point, because if I move that point around, it moves around and it's kind of bizarre. I'm not sure why. And I'm gonna gently hug this and then move the track point out a little bit like so. And easy peasy, just gonna analyze the footage. So again, make sure that the play is at the beginning, click play, and you can see it sticks to it quite well. Now, if you have a computer that is a little bit slow, or doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the RAM, it might take a little longer. I know my computer is a little long in the teeth at this moment, meaning it's old, so a little bit like me. That's why I guess I don't get rid of it. It's an oldie but goodie. So it might take a little while for it, but you can see what's happening, right? It's basically tracking the motion of this. And this little tracker window has a couple different options, which I think are quite cool and quite useful. It's a basic concept, but you can do a lot of neat stuff with it. So so as we wait, you can see that it is created some sort of a map. I'm going to click apply. It asks, do you want the X and the Y? Well, yes, because it's 2-dimensional. It's not 3-dimensional. And then I'm going to hit OK. Ta-da! And you'll notice that it tracks all the footage. Now the problem is, if I hit Command negative, you can see that it's not scaled. Right? If I click on toggle on the background, you can see it's transparent right there. So what we need to do, well, I'll tell you after, but you can see, look, wow, super duper slick, right? But what we could do now is scale it. Ta-da! I can scale it even more, like so. Oh, I could even, if I wanted to, scale and then push in a little bit. And it looked like I'm zooming in. Wow, look at this. It's pretty incredible because that was handheld footage. It was on a crappy little camera. Well, not crappy. It was actually a good camera at the time, but kind of neat stuff. So when you're done with that, drop it into Media Encoder, export it, put it up onto Frame. You will have two files. One is an AEP file, the other will be shaky footage, and just put it in there. Moving onward. All right, we're going to right click on bouncy ball, new ball, composition, right? And with this one, we're going to use the tracker window once again, but this time for a different purpose. Let me take a sip of tea here, because I need my energy for this part of the tutorial. Delicious. Okay, so we see this purple bouncy ball, right? What we're going to do is we're going to put some hooks on that, and we're going to attach stuff to it. Basically, it is tracking motion. So a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is click on bouncy ball for motion source. Uh-oh, what happened? I need to select it. There we go. And then I'm going to track motion. And again, same idea, track point, like so. Make that a little bigger. Go up to there. Watch out for the specular highlight. That's the little white area. That's the specular highlight would be like the shiny reflective area. I'm going to hug that ball. I'll hug that like so. Other thing we're going to do is control click, go new, and null object. This is where things get interesting and fun. I'm going to click on edit target, layer, null. That's where we're going to throw all of our information, right? Motion source, bouncy ball, target is the null. We're only going to do position. We're not going to do rotation and scale. If the footage, for example, was on a tripod, or if we're using it, for example, on a gimbal or Dana Dolly, then we might use the rotation and scale. But for this one, we do not need to. So we're going to analyze the footage, much like we did last time. And you can see we've put our hooks in. Taking a term from jiu-jitsu, actually. It's not really a hook, but it's acting like a hook, isn't it? It's kind of hooked onto this object. And again, if you have a slow computer like I do, now's a good time to, I don't know, clean your windows, put on your dinner maybe, I don't know, do something. Maybe get a little sun outside, that sort of thing. And that's continuing to go. Da, da, da. Now, if you do have issues with it, you know, again, that specular highlight, watch out, that could be the culprit, because a lot of times in those highlights, there really isn't any color information or any information for it to read. So we're going to let that go. It looks like it's just about done. Once it's done, something magical will happen. Not really, but I'm going to click apply. Again, X and Y, hit OK. Now look at this. All of the information has gone to the null object. Ta-da! Well, a null object is something you can't see, but if, for example, we wanted to, we could type in ball. Yeah, I guess just ball. I can't come up with anything more clever than that right now. Ball, right? Like so. It's not moving, but if I take this pick whip down here and parent it to the null object, ta-da! What? Yeah, you're welcome. It's good, right? So then you can attach all kinds of stuff. That's why we use the null object. So for example, if I wanted to, I don't know, make an object or something, a square, because I'm going against, I am an unconventional thinker. I think outside of the box. They say ball, I say square. So I'm going to attach that to the null object, and then you can see that kind of moves around. And what's cool about this is I can reposition things, right? Like, so I could move some things around like so. Maybe make that bigger. And then you kind of have your tracking. So again, fun stuff. When you're done with that, go ahead, export it, save it, and upload it, and that sort of thing. All right, so let's try something new here. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to go back to the footage here. We're going to go to 3D tracking. Oh boy, this, for me, I really enjoy this because it's kind of easy. Oh, if something like this happens, and it will, just go up to Window, Workspace, and reset to a saved layout. Great. All right, so now we're going to bring in some other stuff. So I'm going to go Import File, and week 4, we have the 3D tracking. We're going to bring in the coast. I'm not going to bring in the temple. All right, so I'm going to right-click on Coast, New Conference Selection. I actually took this years ago. It was the day I interviewed Roger Angel, who's a famous writer for The New Yorker, who has since passed away, unfortunately. He was 99 years old. Can you believe that? Time code is at 0. Looks like I was shooting at 29,9701. Wow. No wonder there's a call for us to get rid of those fractions. That's a little bit different than the other one. So it's 6 seconds of gorgeous Maine footage in Brookline, Maine, if you haven't been there. So in this one, we're going to do what they call like a matte painting. And that's some fun stuff. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take a castle and we're going to put it in the middle there. So much like the Brooklyn Nine-Nine, we're going to just do a frame grab right in the middle. So I'm going to go up to Composition, Save Frame As, Photoshop Layers. I will call that Coast. Click Save, and it's a PSD file. I'll go back to my 3D tracking. I'm going to right-click on that, open it. Ooh, not with Photoshop Beta, but boy, wait until you see that. That is going to be some neat stuff. You're going to be able to do so much more with AI. It's kind of mind twisting. I'm very excited for it. Very, very excited. So, you do a frame grab like this. Wonderfully, you already have the title safe and action safe lines right there, which I think is great. I'm going to go Command-I, File Import. Oh, no, wrong program, sorry. Command-O for open. I get a lot of these shortcuts kind of messed up in my head, right? We're going to open up the temple. Ta-da. I'm going to hit Command-A, Command-C. I'm going to Command-V. Command-T for transform. And then we're going to put this little baby right up there. Oh, looks a little strange, if you ask me. I'm going to name that temple. Edit the number. Yeah, I know how to do that, and I was going to do that. It was telling me what I was going to do anyway. Wow. Pretty neat. So for this, what we want to do is basically a couple things. I want to change kind of the color of it. It seems to be a little bit red. But also, I'm going to put a little bit of a blur on it. And the other thing is I want to get rid of some of those rocks there. So where do we begin? Well, I think the first place to begin with something like this is with color correction. So I'm going to click on Temple, click on Adjustment Layer, and go to Curves. And you have RGB right there. Now, if I want to, I can increase it or decrease it. Now, that's increasing or decreasing everything. I don't want to do that. I just want to do one layer. So I click on this little guy right here. So I'm going to make that a little bit darker. The other thing that I noticed that's going on is I have a lot more reds in here, and then I get a lot more greens and blues there. So I'm going to go to the RGB, and I'm going to specifically go to the green, and I'm going to kind of increase that a little bit. Yeah, that looks a little better to me. Okay, once I've got the color where I kind of want it to, selecting both of these, holding the shift key down and hitting control, or I'm sorry, command E. And I'm gonna rename this castle. Now we're gonna do a few other things. I wanna go ahead, take the clone stamp tool, and just kind of clean up around here a little bit. So I'm using my close bracket, open bracket, and up here it says current layer, sample, current layer. I want to do all layers because I'm going to sample below and kind of blend in with the other stuff. So option click, boop. Just a wee bit of blending, not too much, but enough where maybe, just maybe, it doesn't look so wild, right? Or maybe it looks a little bit more like part of the landscape. If we zoom out, we're getting there, right? We're getting there, folks. Oh, there we go. Yeah, why not? See, you can imagine if I were to spend more than, what have I been, 10 minutes on this, we could probably do some more interesting things, right? We could change the sky out, right? Add a different sky. We could add we could remove the background. We could add things to it. Now with AI stuff, we're going to be able to add all kinds of objects to it. It's going to be really kind of cool. So once I kind of am happy with the matte painting and the object that I'm putting in there, I don't know, it looks kind of like a Buddhist temple in Maine, which I don't think we have many of them. Probably not like that. So I'm gonna unclick the coast here. Actually, go ahead and delete it. Hit Command T with the castle. Make that bigger. Put that right in the middle. Hit Enter. File. Save as. And I have that as coast PSD. Replace it. And we're good to go. Done and dusted. Okay, now we're going back. Now, this is where things get kind of interesting, right? Let's see where I'm at. Dragging, blah, 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 blah. Clone stamp, yes. So we're going to go to Window, Effects, and Presets. And then we're going to go type in 3D Tracker. 3D text, no. Aha, here it is. 3D camera tracker perspective. Let's see what happens with this. Hopefully it works. So we're going to click on that. And yeah, you just kind of let it go. It's going to analyze some stuff. And it'll take a little while. And then you see it will go through all of the shots there. It looks a little bit different than what it had before, but you can still see it's analyzing the footage right now. And basically what it's doing is it's interpolating or thinking that, oh, solving camera now, that this is going to be a three-dimensional video. And it's easier to do with tracking shots such as this. One's if you have a gimbal, one if you have other things. Now, this is where the fun begins. Now, if I hover my mouse over this, you're going to see like these little discs plop around. Well, we wanted to put the, we want to put, ooh, yeah, that looks like a good spot right there. We want to put the castle over there, right? So once I find a decent angle that I like, and you know, I'm even wondering what happens if I move up a little bit. Yeah, like so. That seems like a good spot to me. Because it's like right in the middle, I think that's pretty much where we grabbed it. I'm gonna control click, and I'm gonna create solid and camera. And when you look at that, it's like, whoa, what did you just do, Tim? Not much, not much at all. But I actually did. Click trim contour area. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why there was one extra thing. So you kind of see that box right there, and it's like, well, whoop-de-doo, right? Well, here's some fun things you can do with that. So I'm going to highlight this track solid. I'm going to control click on it, and I am going to pre-compose it. And I will call this castle layer. Hit OK. And basically that nests a composition within a composition. And double click on that. And I'm going to hit Command K or go up to composition settings. And it's 1080 by 1080. That's fine for Instagram, not for us. We want to do 1920 by 1080, like so. Hit OK. I'm going to delete that. Go over to, oh, no. I want to go back to this. I did delete that, and I do want to. I really do. I'm going to go Command I for import, and it's not the temple we want. We want the coast.psd. So I'm going to go hit coast.psd. We want it as footage for this one. Hit OK. And we're going to drag that right on there and kind of position it in the middle. Then we're going to go back to our original. Da-da-da-da-da. Would you look at that? Look at that beautiful bean footage. Well, it is a little tiny, so I'm going to go ahead and scale it quite a bit. I'm going to grab the handle, the Y handle, and the X handle. Notice I'm not grabbing right willy-nilly in the middle there, right? But I'm grabbing right at the pointy areas. That's what you're going to want to do, folks. And, ooh, maybe we'll have a little bit of the tree in the background there. And that's about it. Pretty slick, huh? I think that's kind of a neat thing. Go ahead and hit play. Just a fun little thing you can do. And once you're done, bring it into Media Encoder, and yeah, and then we're good. So for this next one, you know what? I'll save this for the heck of it. Yay. Close out of it. Next one's a little bit different, and you'll be basing your own stuff off of the next one. So I'm going to go back to 3D, week 4, and I'm going to click on green screen and 3D. And we're going to look at module 8. Module 10. Yeah, we're going to look at module 8. So we'll go ahead and open up After Effects. I closed it out because this one's a little bit more complicated and I don't want to confuse people. So we'll wait for that to open. Looks like my Spotify is open too. Let's close that, please. There we go. Yeah, After Effects has some exciting things around the corner with AI as well. It's a new world out there, folks. A new world, and it's going to be interesting to see how we learn and teach with AI, I think. What do you think? All right, new project, like so. I'm gonna go file. I'm gonna just go ahead and save as. It's always kind of good practice to do this. I don't know why I haven't said this before. 3D footage. I'm just gonna save that right there. And we're gonna go Command I. We're gonna bring in, Louise, module 8 PSD files, audio, video, like so. All right, we're gonna take this video right here, control click on it, new comp from selection, Command K, make sure it starts at 0. It's 9 seconds of footage. It is a small file, which is fine. And I gave you a really lousy green screen because guess what? You'll probably encounter one sometime in your life. And you may need to do multiple techniques to get a clean green screen. And I'm just going to show you, first of all, how to do that. And then we're going to go into the 3D aspect of it, which I think is kind of neat. You know, a lot of the times you're just going to be able to highlight this, go to effect, and go to keying, and you know there's key light 1.2, which is super easy to use, right? Like, and most of the time that's going to work great, but sometimes you're not always going to be able to rely on that. So here's a technique that you can kind of use in multiple programs. Okay, so we're going to click on color range, and a little eyedropper tool is going to pop up. There's additive and subtractive. You do a base layer and then you add to it. I will say the subtractive part of it does not work well. So let's go ahead and take the base there. And you can see in the background, if I click on this, those are just different modes of viewing it. But you know, the checkered part represents transparency, right? So I'm going to click add, and I'm going to add a little bit more, and add a little bit more. And you can kind of see, oh yeah, there's still some there, right? And I can zoom in a little bit. I guess I'm concerned with that stuff right there, right? Like, I think once I get that, then we're good, right? We're good, right? No. And why? Well, especially if people are wearing reflective type of clothing, which you should try to get them not to wear. So there is a lot of the reason why green screen looks so bad is twofold. One is people use the source images that they're going to put in the background as an afterthought. The reality is that you should think about these, they're called plates, beforehand. So you think about which way is the sun shining, which way is the light pointing, what is the mood of the imagery that you're using in the background. And with that, you create your character and your lighting of the green screen, right? So if you're ever in a situation where you're talking to a director of photography or people like that, you always ask for the images first before you begin production. The director of photography has to ask for the imagery first, and that's kind of the process. Okay, so the problem with this is, well, we got that green outline and it just doesn't look that good. So we're going to do one more thing. We're going to go to effect. We're going to go to matte, and we're going to do a matte choker. It kind of turns on and off, and you see that just kind of brought it in a little bit, which is kind of cool. I can turn that on and off. But here's the good one. I'm going to effect, keying, and then advanced spill suppressor. And here's where the magic starts. Boom, bow. So that to me that's pretty neat. I mean, it works pretty well for the most part. All right, taking things a little bit more advanced. We're gonna take this into a 3D world. Okay, or 2.5D, I should say. So we're gonna go ahead and click on this little box, and you're gonna see handle, right? You're gonna see a handle here. But before you do anything with this, we're going to go up to the top and we're going to change to world access mode. And what this allows us to do is that every object will be oriented the same way within the X, Y, and Z direction. If you don't do that, then they're kind of all in their own orbits, which I suppose you could do, but boy, I feel like that would be confusing. I really do. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to switch the views here, right? So instead of one view, we're going to switch to two views. And now I can switch different angles. So this one is default. This one is active camera, but I could also switch to custom view 1. So I can really see kind of what's happening over there. So let's get started. We're just going to put this person in a box, which is not very nice, but it's what we're doing. All right, so I'm gonna do a floor there, and I also want to make that 3D. You created a 3D bin. There are 3D layers and blah, 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 blah. Okay, sounds good. So I created a bin. Thank you very much. So I'm going to hit Option R. That's a floor, right? So we're going to rotate that 90 degrees on our x-axis. Ta-da, like so. And then again, I'm grabbing just the tip there of the green handle and putting it down so it looks a wee bit like a floor. Oh, I imagine she has to go a little higher. Yes, 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 like so. Okay, there we go. And since we know how to do the floor, well, we know how to do the ceiling too. Let's do the same thing, like so. Option R, rotate the X 90 degrees. Boom, like so. Bring that up. There's a ceiling. Let's get the walls in there. Bring in a wall. And I'll push that back like so. And, well, it's only two there, but let's make it like a box. So I can Command C, Command V. That's wall. I'll call this right wall. So I'll move that forward. And I'm going to want to do a rotation on that. Option R. And this one, I believe we're going to rotate on the y-axis 90 degrees. Like so. There we go. And then I can Command C, Command V. Right wall 2, no, left wall. And then I can grab that and bring it over, like so. Okay. Now, let's take things a little bit further, right? Let's do a little bit further. Ooh, that ceiling's a little too low for this dancer. Okay. So let's do things a little more here. I'm going to bring the dancer up forward a wee bit, like so. Maybe down, like so. Yeah, that looks good. There we go. Now let's get a little more interesting. I'm going to go up to Layer, New, and Light. And we have a bunch of different types of light. We have parallel light, spotlight, point light, and ambient. Parallel light, it's more directional. Spotlight, also directional. Point light, think of like Christmas lights, and then ambient is just the general lighting. So we're going to do some point lights, and we're also going to cast shadows. That's important. And we're going to hit OK. And you can see it's actually acting like light, and you can create. You could actually move this around if you wanted to and create multiple lights and think of it like a stage. Now the other kind of cool thing is now we can talk to some of our objects, right? So we're going to go back down to the ballerina right there, and I can go to material options. Cast shadows is off, but watch now. Cast shadows on. What? Yeah, it's kind of neat. So I can then go back to my other light, my point light, and change some of those options. You know, I could bring down the darkness, for example, or I could diffuse it, for example. Seems like it's a little bit too lit up in the back there, right? So maybe I go to my wall in the back, go to material options, and specular intensity, right? Like maybe I bring that down. Maybe that I want that to be darker, right? Maybe I don't want it to look as intense. So there's some kind of light objects that you can do, and you again, you can build it like a stage, right? Let's get a little bit more interesting from here. Okay, now we can go up to layer, new, and we're going to add a camera. We're going to keep that a 2-node camera. We're going to enable a depth of field. I'll get into that on our next lesson, but today just know that this little toggle we should do. And we can create the camera from current view and hit OK. So there we go. It's actually, if I zoom out on this, you're going to see a camera. Custom view. Where's my camera? Where is it? Actually, we're going to redo that. I'm sorry. Layer, new, camera. We're not going to create from current view. We're just going to hit OK. There we go. And then you can see down here, there's my camera right there. And it quite literally acts like a camera. Now if I look over here, I go to default, and I go to camera 1, it's acting like an actual camera. So I could start, for example, out here, hit Option P for position, scrub ahead, and push the camera forward. And maybe grab the Y, zoom in like so. So it's kind of a slow push in, which is kind of neat. Some other neat things you could do is, let's say I want to cut to cameras, right? Again, think of it like a stage, right? And multiple cameras. Well, I can option close bracket. And let's say I want to cut to another camera. I can go to layer, new camera, and I can say, call this one, tight camera, and switch it to 80 millimeters, right? Because that's more of a portrait lens. And I can bring that over here, like so. And we'll just do active camera, right? I'll zoom out, but let's say I want to go in a little tighter. So I want to get a reaction shot. Oh, I don't want to grab the Z, I want to grab the Y. I want to grab a reaction shot like so. And of course, the higher the higher quality of the footage, the better, right? So, you could cut to a different camera, for example. I could even go in tighter than that. Let's do that. Like so. And kind of that's it. So for next week, your assignment is basically you're going to do all the practice exercises, and then you're going to recreate this using your own materials. And you can find those materials if you look on the syllabus. It will give you access to places where you can find green screen footage and that sort of thing. So Good luck. If you have any questions, please get in touch with me. I'm around, and it's 7 days a week, not 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And take care out there. Okay, bye.